So, when I'm talking about women making the first move, I'm not talking about pursuing and stalking, right? I'm just talking about like maybe you give a little shout out. Hey boy, hey, you looking cute. Welcome to Women Being Loved. I'm Tadra, your host. Do you have a hobby? Maybe you make soap or garden or upcycle sweaters. My hobby is asking provocative questions about love relationships on Facebook. Yeah. I do this on my own wall. I do it in the groups I'm in. This week's provocative question was, can I have a drum roll, please? Somebody out there. Should women make the first move with men in dating? I apologize. This entire episode is definitely heterosexual focused because there's this thing about women and men and the patriarchy and who can do what. And I really wanted to address that. So stay with me for this. Although I have male friends in real life and some of them are connected with me on Facebook, my questions are always addressed to women when it comes to us being loved. I personally feel like there are too many male voices online telling women who we should be from a man's perspective if we want to be loved. I find those voices are usually from one type of man who wants one type of woman, but those voices claim to speak for all quote unquote real men. I talk directly to women who have attracted incredible, supportive love relationships that are filled with respect and equality without trying to squeeze themselves into someone else's ideals. So these women are living it. They are living proof that you can find someone out there, or someone out there will find you, who will love you as you are. But this week's provocative question, with this question, some of my male friends did not wait for an invitation. They joined the debate, like they jumped in there. You know what? I'm not mad at them. On this particular question, it was nice to hear from them. But I am going to start with what the women said, and then I will swing back around to the male perspective on should women make the first move. Not surprising in this day and age, most women said it was fine. Some said they did make the first move with their husbands, and they were really glad that they did. Some women said their husbands were far too shy or too intimidated to ask them out. Fair enough. Men are not robots, ladies. They are not. They have the same emotional fears we do. They just aren't allowed to say it out loud most of the time. A few women said they'd flirt, but they wouldn't go as far as to ask the guy out on a date. These women felt it was the guy's responsibility to pick up their cues and ask them. Okay, fair enough. A few women said that they have asked men out and it didn't go well. So yeah, I can see that being like, ouch. I suspect the men that they asked either weren't open to a woman making the first move or the men weren't interested, which is fine. Fine. Women have been rebuffing men's attempts for centuries. Haven't we, ladies? Come on. Why do we think men have to jump at the chance to go out with any woman who asks him, even if that woman is stunningly beautiful? He still has the right to say, thank you, but no. And finally, the smallest group of women said men need to step up. One woman even said that she needs a man with a strong instinct to hunt. She said hunt. Personally, that doesn't resonate with me. I am not prey. But each of us has what we desire, and there's someone out there who is that perfect match. So no shade to all my sisters with Elmer Fudd on your vision board. Finally, let's swing around to the men's, shall we? They said things like, why not? It doesn't matter who makes the first move. Let someone know you're interested. That one actually came from my cousin. Shout out. Thank you, bro. Another man said, it would be so nice to know if a woman was interested instead of constantly putting ourselves out there without knowing how she'll respond. Okay, I can see that. Finally, The last guy, bless his heart, he said simply, I wish. So ladies, there are men out there who are like, I wish y'all would say something, please. So from all angles, this little experiment shows that there is no definitive answer. There will be men who are open to you saying, hey, would you like to upcycle sweaters with me this weekend? I'm kidding. No guy is going to be open to that. But you should probably start with maybe coffee or a hike. At some point, he might upcycle sweaters with you. You never know. I have been sharing in every episode that I interviewed 50 women, and I'm still going forward with more because I want a whole database of wise women sharing their information. These women are from their 30s to their 70s who have beautiful, dynamic love relationships. And I ask them a lot of probing questions about their lives and relationships so that I can share the wisdom with you here on this podcast and in my upcoming book. So today I want to read to you an example from a woman's life. She chose to make the first move. I just ask you if you are triggered by that for some reason. Just keep an open mind. If you'd like to stop the podcast and grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, that could be fun. I think you're going to like this. Okay, Tanya, who lives in Australia, was 40 when she met Trevor. And here's how they met. She says, and I'm reading directly from the book, I was laying on my bed with a close friend, and she had just found out her husband was cheating on her. She decided she'd get over it by dating a lot. So she and I were laying there looking at men on Bumble. We were flicking and flicking for a while. She was very definitive about what she wanted. A guy who was tatted, had face double, and the whole thing. So we kept flicking. And then I saw this guy, and I just stopped. There was something about him, but he didn't really have a profile. So I said straight away to my friend that he's either married or, like there's something not right about him. So I took out my phone because we'd been looking at the app on her phone and flicked through until I found him. Being in a small location in Australia, it didn't take long. I actually sent a message to him, and it turned out that he was neither married nor crazy. We messaged back and forth for a while and then decided 2 weeks later to meet up in person for a drink at a football bar, which is never me. But there we were talking for like 5 hours. And that started it all. That was in February, and we were married by October. Okay. I could stop there, but I want to go a little bit further because there are some really important points that she shares, so hang in there. Oddly enough, I met Trevor while I was on a 2-year dating hiatus. I honestly wasn't looking for anyone. My last 2 relationships had been abusive, and I just needed to take a break. I was working so much on myself to get clear about what I was looking for, not in terms of a checklist. I think I've always had a checklist in my head, but this is the first time that I was talking about qualities like kindness and someone who'd be interested in me and actually ask questions about me. I always dated people in the past that were quite self-absorbed, even though I didn't realize it at the time. Trevor was very different from those other guys. I knew it right away. Usually on first dates, I'd not really talk about my past because you don't want to bring up your baggage that early. But that first night we met, it was all laid out on the table. It was kind of weird, but also refreshing. We learned we were both in therapy. We covered where we came from, where we were in that moment, and what we were looking for. Wow, these people were mature. It really seemed like we were in sync. And then 2 days later, he rang me up and said, I remember you said your kids attend this particular school, and I know you'll have to pick them up at about 2:30. So I was thinking maybe we could do a quick lunch at this place because it's really close to their school. She says, I was thinking this is the first guy who actually listened to me talk about my children, then retained that information and used it in a good way. We had that date at a pub, and after that, we started spending a lot of time together, coming and going to each other's places. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I read beyond the we got married part, right? Which sound like the big Oh, why? Why can't I get a word? Crescendo. There we go. It felt like the crescendo, right? It's the part that you're like, oh, yay, they got married. But I wanted you to see that Tanya made the initial outreach, but then Trevor made it clear that he was interested. And not just in her as an individual, but in her role as a mother. On their first date, he listened to her. He shared honestly about his own struggles, and then he participated in the dance. Okay, did you see that? She didn't have to keep calling him and texting him, hoping for an answer. So, when I'm talking about women making the first move, I'm not talking about pursuing and stalking, right? I'm just talking about like maybe you give a little shout out. Hey boy, hey, you looking cute. Maybe you don't say that, but you know what I mean? You just let him know somehow. Bat your eyelashes, pucker your lips, something. And then the ball is in his court. Let's see what he does with it. There's so much more to Tanya's story. I would love to read it all, but we would be here for a while, and I'm gonna let you go. But she does talk about how she and Trevor blended their families. It's beautiful. How they continued to work on being their best selves for themselves and each other. And this quote from Tanya just melts my heart. She said, "For most of my life, I felt like I could only show certain sides of myself or people wouldn't love me. My exes did things to keep me off balance and insecure, so I never felt safe being my full self. Now, with Trevor, I can fully be me." Oh, I love that. I feel like I need a tissue. I love that. If you don't have that yet, I want that for you. Okay. Tanya's full uplifting story will be in the book, which I'm aiming to have completed by late spring, early summer. If you would like to keep up with the process, I'll be talking about it here, but you can also just hop over to my website and sign up for the newsletter. You'll be able to vote on the upcoming cover design and a bunch of other fun things, right? And so just check out the show notes, sign up, and you will be in the know. Okay, let me just say, if making the first move is not your jam and your soul needs the guy to pursue you, sis, there is nothing wrong with that. What do I always say? I'm not here to say, this is how it has to be done definitively. And that's the beautiful thing about all the women's stories that I've been collecting. They're so different from each other. And so some will resonate with you and some won't, but that's okay. If you need the guy to pursue you, I have a great story to share with you next week. Their love affair sounds like a rom-com, but it's absolutely true. So don't miss out on that. As usual, please leave a comment or a review on this episode. I love hearing from you. And if this episode brought you encouragement or inspiration, please consider sponsoring this podcast or just giving a one-time gift. It would allow me more time to interview and create quality content weekly. Look in the show notes for those details as well. I will see you next week, and always remember, love will find you.